right, people. We're going to get, we got 2 people already. All right, we got 2. We'll talk to 2 people. I am here, 2152. Okay, we have to 52. Let's see who says hello first. Happy Halloween. That's what's up. Thank you from, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's on the screen. The Mountain Sleeps. We're at 228.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it goes up pretty quick.
Wow.
Am I going to share it anywhere? No, I'm going to let just whoever shows up tonight. Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. This, I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. This is my wife, Jada. And hey, what's going on, Greg? Greg is a dope young man with a up and coming podcast.
Okay.
Platypi. Okay. Says your wife is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I married up. I always like overachieved in my relationships, but I outdid myself with you.
Well, you're welcome.
I used to have to fix it up real quick. Oh, how many we got? We got 653 people. Thank you, yo boy Wood McGee said he loves my input and my thinking. Happy Halloween to everyone. Gail on Facebook. Cashville is in the house. All right. Wayne Mang is in the house. Andy from Ohio, regular, says hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Now, we don't want to start like this. But we're going to do it so the microphone can actually pick up both of us. So we don't want to start like that. Y'all think we, trying to do the most. We're not trying to do the most. We're really just trying to make the microphone pick us up.
It's 12 o'clock.
I guess we are doing the most.
Exactly.
Uh-oh. Dorothy. Opinionated MBW says we're adorable.
Thank you.
Gina said, yes, you married up. You're beautiful, Mrs. Dixon.
Thank you.
I happen to think that I'm not bad looking myself, but I absolutely outdid myself. I did outdo myself. But you got to shoot for the stars. Why not? Okay, so hello from Canada, Margaret.
Oh, hello.
And so we did a list tonight. So what's going on is we are married, and we have 3 kids.
Yes.
And we are business partners.
Yes.
And the reason we're business partners is because you are better with details, and I am better with just cut on a mic and I flow and I just do it, And you know what? I better keep up with the super chats now, because I didn't tell my producers we were doing this, and if I don't keep up with them now, it's gonna be. So here's a super chat saying, "Beautiful wife, and yes, Gregory's podcast is 10 out of 10. That's love. I love cross pollinating." So we're business partners too, and you help me, you manage me, basically. I mean, you don't manage me, but you're my partner.
No, absolutely. You have full autonomy to be who you are. I realized that early on in our marriage.
Hold on, Nick. She said that explains why the kids are so beautiful. I would have you know the kids look like me. We just happen to look like each other. She's the prettier version, obviously.
They're starting to look like me, but at birth I always questioned, like, what did I contribute?
Right, because Dixon genes are strong.
Very strong.
Like all of my sisters' kids look like my sisters, and my brother's kids. Well, actually, no, my brother's kids are a mix between he and his wife. I think it's a pretty yeah, because that family line got a strong bloodline too. Hey, Tanika. So anyway, let's get back to you, because you're not my manager in the sense of, because I don't think about that in terms of like you not having control. I think about that in the sense of like, if you were my manager, that would mean that you work for me. You don't work for me. We work for each other. Yeah.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
No,
No, you were saying.
I don't remember.
Oh, about me being my own boss.
No, yeah. So
pat me on the back a little bit. No.
Ben has full autonomy in what he does from a creative aspect. And understanding that I am the structure, I am the policies and procedure of the business that allows him to do what he does every day, morning, noon, and night.
All day, every day. All day, every day. What is that? I don't even know what meme I'm thinking of. And honestly, like, I look at you to be the person to keep me from getting roped off by the feds for taxes and stuff. And so we were talking tonight. We were just having our impromptu business meeting, and we try to have standing business meetings.
Yeah.
And one thing we both have in common that I think and we decided to talk to you all because we think what we have to say is probably going to help some other people.
Absolutely. I think if we had the same issues,
right,
we would have appreciated
if somebody
someone
said
else
it to
would
us.
say, okay, these are some steps you need to take.
So we have our marriage. Let's start with business.
Okay.
And then we'll end with marriage.
Okay.
Right. Or do we start with marriage and go to business? What do you want to do first?
Because we ended with business.
That's where it's freshest in our head.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we're going to start with business. And we're only doing this because it literally was like we have these flashpoints where we grow up. Mm-hmm. And, somebody called us both late bloomers. I don't know if I agree with that so much because we're still pretty young, relatively speaking. Mm-hmm. And I think we're coming to our own. And so we had a growing up moment tonight where we looked at each other and we were like, hey, listen, we're going to do X, Y, and Z going forward in our business, because if we don't, then we'll go back to whence we came.
Exactly. And ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time. So the reason we're going to talk about marriage too is because as we talked about our business tonight, it had direct implications on our marriage, because if we don't do our business right, we're going to end up going back to where we came from. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And so as we're talking business tonight, she and I have the same problem.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, and that's probably why we get along so well, but people always mistake our kindness for weakness.
Absolutely.
And we want to be kind. Mm-hmm. We have a natural inclination to make people comfortable. I remember somebody teaching me when I was younger, they were like, the definition of a gentleman, that's probably a TV show. The definition of a gentleman is someone who goes out of his way to make sure other people are comfortable around him. Mm-hmm. And so I go out of my way. That's why I do a lot of self-deprecation, because honestly, like, that's why we roast. I let people roast me. I roast them back. I joke about myself, because it's all about making the environment comfortable. I want people around me to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. The problem with doing that is that some people don't understand that is our way of saying we want to be kind.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, we know how to take care of business, right? And so we both do that. And we both, every now and then, we run into people where we're like, we have to look at each other and say, guess we can't be kind.
Exactly.
So you have that situation too.
Yeah.
Oh, Amy's on the board.
No, I saw her.
Hey, twin.
I don't have a twin. It's a long story, but good friend, FAMU back in the day. So no, yeah, definitely. In addition to that, I believe in giving people grace and mercy. We're all trying to learn, whatever it is we're trying to learn, one step at a time. And if I can be helpful or engaging to anybody, I'm that person that if it's somebody sitting on the side that's not talking to anybody, I'll make that a point to go and make them feel comfortable, to make them feel included, so that they can start to engage. We have a tendency basically to put our feelings to the side and
think about others first.
I
like what Beverly said. She said kindness also needs boundaries.
Absolutely. And we're learning that, and I guess we've been learning that for the past
we've
years.
learned, but we've also had to learn the hard way. Mm-hmm. I had
hence the list.
Yeah, we made a list. We're not going to show you, but we have a list
of 26.
26 things. And here's the title of the list. I would say
he made the list up, just so you know. I mean, he made the title up.
This is a list that we're going to look at every time we sit down across the table from somebody. Because while we want to be kind, at the end of the day, if we don't handle our business right, then the person we hire or the person that we bring into our circle can end up taking us back to the where we came from.
Exactly.
And we ain't going back. We ain't going back. There ain't nothing y'all can do. We are not going back. So I made up a list. We made it together of all the shit we've been through to get here. And this motherfucker across the table wants our money. Now, we need this for us because we have a natural inclination to show a kind face first. It's never a face of, oh, you could take advantage of us because I've seen you handle business with some of the top academic people on the planet. I've already told him you used to work for Harvard. So she has, you can talk about yourself. Or I'll talk about you and you talk about me. I like doing that.
I want to talk about myself. Then you can talk about me. No, seriously. So for the past, I've been stay at home, if you will, for the last few years. But prior to that, I worked 8 to 10 years.
Kevin is, Darian used to hang out with him all the time. Kevin's brother.
Oh, hey, Kevin. Hey. So prior to being here in this space of stay-at-home business partner, prior to that, I worked 8 to 10 years with different universities from South Florida
to
Boston University, where I had an opportunity to work for Harvard.
Boston University is a school. That's why.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, in Boston, Massachusetts. Working for Harvard University. And basically, I was dealing with researchers, investigators. They had to come through my office
the top
to start
folks in the world on the planet.
Exactly, to start their research. And if it wasn't up to par, there was a no-go. And we're talking about federal money. And grant writing and things of that nature. So, sorry, I'm learning. So I have no problem handling business. I have no problem telling anyone no, especially, working in that environment. However, we both felt like we wanted to handle our business different. We wanted to be family oriented, if you will, right. As far as if we're bringing you into our space, we're going to treat you like family. We're going to give you the opportunity to, showcase your talents. We'll work through things. We're here, and time again.
And the big thing is like we've come through. We're at this place now where we can call our own shots.
Absolutely.
But getting here has been coming up the rough side of the damn mountain.
Exactly. And
I'm doing my best to make it in, right? We've been coming up the rough side, like dealing with people prior to this stage and people prior to where we are now, taking my kindness for weakness. Mm-hmm. And what brought everything about today was...
Before you go there.
Okay.
To add on to that point, because we have been through what we have been through, we wanted to, or still want to, pay it forward to anybody else who is in a similar business, right, or trying to get ahead or catch up or get started.
Wherever you are.
We wanted to give that, not a hand up.
Yeah, like I didn't have any mentors in this game. None. Mm-hmm. I always desire to have mentors in this space or in somebody who could point me in the right direction for my life. I remember I was like 26 and I was desperately searching for someone who can help put me on the trajectory. I didn't know the trajectory I wanted to be on, but I knew it was some trajectory, and I couldn't find, and then I just kind of made up my mind. I was like, dude, you're 26. It's time for you to be somebody else's mentor. Mm-hmm. So I just gave up on having a mentor. And so when we were talking tonight, we were like, you know what, this will help some other people because I remember even before meeting you, right? And this has more to do with remembering everything we went through to be able to be here. Mm-hmm. And because we're so new here, we were like,
Like-
we're not going back, y'all. We're not. Okay. So the thing is like, I remember having a conversation with my brothers back before I met you, same apartment where I first met you. So it was like, what, 12 years ago, maybe. And
11.
well, no, I was in that apartment for like 2 years before I met you.
Okay.
Just and me and my brothers had a conversation about how cutthroat the business world is, and I talk to you guys about it all the time, how we reward the worst in humanity, people who could be the most cutthroat, people who could step on other people. And my brothers and I, we had that conversation, and we were like, well, we're just not cut out for that world, because that's not the kind of people that we are. Lo and behold, I ended up in politics, where it's like, you're gonna have to be cutthroat. And then I'm realizing every single day of my life right now, and for the last 6 years plus, has been balancing the cutthroat with who I really want to be, which is kind. But realizing that I got to take out a switchblade every now and then and cut some motherfuckers. And I don't like to do that. I would prefer not to have to do that. But in this political space, I got to do it. And we were talking tonight about just moves that we're trying to make, decisions that we have to make. And it was the same exact analog. It was like, we both have a natural inclination to be kind, but every now and then we're gonna have to pull out these switchblades. No? Oh, that's just me in the politics world.
No, that's everyday life in every situation. It's so. Just say it this way: Ben and I both have different sides of each other, and we've seen those
Yes.
sides
I think it was we recognized it in each other.
We
Yeah,
have those
that's
other
right.
sides.
That's right.
But to come down from that anger, to come down from that frustration, it's too much. It's too hard. Why do we even have to go there?
Right.
Like, do what you say you're gonna do, and we're cool. And we would rather reside in the space of being kind.
Right.
But people take that
but
kindness
people don't, like,
for weakness.
My experience to date has been my experience coming, like, that's why we made the list. So we're going to share the list with you, because you should have a list.
Absolutely.
Right? You should have a list of all the shit that you've been through
Yep.
to get where you are.
Yep.
Even if you're not where you're going to be, because we're not where we're going to be.
Absolutely.
No idea where this road leads. We pray it continues to lead down success so that we can continue blessing other people, right? But have you a list where you remember all of those flashpoints in your life that you will never forget, and that puts you in a position to never apologize, one, about your success. If you get, and again, at the end, I want to start at the end, because at the end, we realize that after all we've been through, we still have a desire to do for others and to create opportunities for others. Our entire business model is about giving opportunities to others and making sure that other people can thrive, and not being so concerned about how much we make on the labor of somebody else. Like, I live this thing that I talk about. Like, I make sure that anybody we are going to have a conversation with about bringing them on, that their labor is well compensated, right? Talent is worthy, in my opinion. And so that's when we talk about success, it's not in this, bourgeoisie definition of success where we get, and hey, we want y'all to see how much we got and you can aspire to get. No. It's really about the more we're blessed, the more we're trying to bless other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now, before we go down this list, I just want to say we've been talking about this. I guess it's kind of naturally been leading here for the last couple of weeks, because I've regularly said to her that I don't think there's another woman on the face of the planet who could have gone through what we had to go through in order to just now be able to call our own shots. After all these years, I don't think that there's another woman on the planet who would have risked everything that I risked and that I had our family risk. Mm-hmm. But now, and again, folks, we're just at the beginning. Mm-hmm. We had this conversation also because we're like, if we're not careful and we don't put people in the right place and we don't have surround ourselves with the right team, it's not just us. Like, we have a really good team, right? And we've been surrounding ourselves with really good people, and we have other people that we're considering bringing in as a team. And it's really about making sure that we continue to always remember that we don't have to apologize.
Absolutely. Because
of all the shit that we've been through to get here. And so we want to share our list with you so that you will write down your list of all the shit. I'm just going to keep saying it over again. All the shit that you went through to get to where you are, even if you're not where you want to be, you still went through some shit to get where you are. Mm-hmm. You want to add anything?
No, I think you put it quite nicely. I will say that to be real, it's disheartening. And we never want to be those individuals who have to hold in who we truly are for the sake of our own safety. Safety personally, but also business-wise. Yeah. And like someone said earlier, it's evident more so now than ever that we need to create boundaries and understanding that this person is providing a service for us.
DJ,
and they're not.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
say,
and
well, you
not,
would want to know this. He's standing in front of the FAMU torch, whatever that is.
Yes. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
We'll see if BCU gets one. But yes.
Okay. What do you mean says is I ran the Australian federal election for the Progressive Party, and Ben is speaking to my soul right now. Kindness and cutthroat, my life right there.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's like I said, it's just disheartening because we are naturally kind people, and we want to and we want to be helpful, so that individuals will get a step up, 1 or 2 steps up, or whatever it may be, so they don't have to go through the same hardships that we have.
Right.
But now realizing that in doing so, we're going to have to set boundaries.
Yeah. Dustin Brown says, man, I'm 33 and nowhere. It's real hard. Bro.
Listen.
I'm 40. Okay.
Hello.
She's 50.
This is why I love him so much. That's another story for another day.
She's 41.
Yes, I am 40.
Okay. She's old. I married an older woman.
8 months. Not even a whole year. Anyways. Yeah, we didn't really get started until 30.
Get started? No, we didn't get married to 30.
We didn't get married to 30.
That's when the journey began.
Was at 31, yeah.
The journey began at 30. We didn't really get nowhere until
last year.
February of this year.
In the last year.
Within the last
40th,
year.
We had some coming to Jesus moments.
And this is what this list is about. So can we get to the list? Let's get to the list.
We like therapy.
So no, I just want to say, Dennis, we've been married 10 years, and it's not more. What years? What years is this? 2020, right?
Yes, but it depends on
which day we count. Well, either way, it's still 10.
No, because December 6th will be 11.
Is it? Are we in November?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So
we're closer to 11. Wewe're closer to 11. I don't even know all that stuff. We'll tell everybody. We have 2 wedding dates.
Yeah.
We eloped and then got married publicly. So anyway, there you go. Here is the list of all the shit that we've been through that will make us never apologize.
Let's start from the end.
Well, at the end was after all we've been through, we still got, after all that I've been through.
I was just going to say that sounds like a song.
I still got joy. Basha.
You know what?
Anyway.
Not today.
So number 1, this is a great place to start. The lights were, I told them this already. Mm-hmm. When you first came over to my house, my lights were cut off. Now that was really an oversight. That wasn't because I didn't have money. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had enough to pay my light bill. It just so happens that on the first time you came to my apartment, I forgot to pay my goddamn light bill. So it really wasn't setting a good stage for things to come, all things considered. We ready? We want to admit to number 2? I mean, we in here now.
Yeah. Listen, everything
I'll let you read
that's
number
in
2.
here, everything that's on this list is our life, is our journey. It's made us who we are. So I'm not offended or embarrassed because we're sitting here with you all now and telling the story. And if nothing else from this conversation, we hope that somebody realizes that what you see now is not where we started by any means.
And what you see now is not even where we're gonna be, right? The Lord
yes,
keep blessing and the universe keep opening the windows and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually have more than blue shirts in my closet because my wife has been You see, I ain't worried about child on the internet clowning me for wearing my blue shirts every damn day. My wife clowns me for wearing my blue shirts every day, but then she always hangs them right up in the closet and I'm like, ooh, I got another blue shirt, and there it is.
Well, that's because I know blue is your favorite color.
Yes, I have a problem.
You had a blue car. You had blue shirts. You have blue shoes.
I got blue shoes. Then I
Sound
suede.
like Pete the Cat. Anyways.
So number 2.
So number 2, living with
Your parent.
my parents for 2
2
years.
years.
With a 1-year-old.
No, a
Yeah.
2-year-old.
No, he was 1 when we got
He was 1 when we got there, and
Yeah.
then we had a baby while we were there.
while we were there.
We lived with her parents for 2 years.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bubba. First time ever calling him Bubba. That's why we call my son Bubba after
They look
Mr.
so much
Ross.
alike. I'm just gonna keep going.
I'll do this one. Ooh. Borrowing money that we haven't completely paid back to get to Boston.
But we talked.
But we can pay it back now. So we got you. Just give us a call. Mr. Ross. We can pay you back now. You go next one. The depressing ass first Christmas.
So once we got, when you think about opportunities that come your way, you don't necessarily think about the highs, the hows, the wins, and the whats. Like I said, we moved in with my parents for 2 years. Then we decided that, I needed to go back to work because I couldn't sit at home. Anyways.
But it was really cool how we decided. So I had been looking for work in one industry in Florida while we were living with her parents. And that just wasn't working for us. And so I looked at her and I said, babe, where's your resume? Let's get you out there. And so I got her resume. I tweaked, but I twerked that resume. And I sent her resume out to the first round of schools. And she got at least 2 interviews, Ivy League schools. She got a couple of interviews from those Ivy League schools. And I like to say I got her at Harvard, but I didn't. But it was the resume that I tweaked for her.
He's planted the seed.
And then she got the job at Harvard. And I was like, shit, it ain't working on me. Like my stuff ain't working. Of course we're going to Boston. And so we went to Boston, but we had no money.
We didn't realize the cost of living.
Well,
I
had an idea. I knew what it was.
Didn't have an idea.
I knew because I had to get the apartment and I knew what we were getting into, and I knew that it was going to be tight. And my God, was it ever the tightest years of our life? Which takes us to number 4.
The first Christmas in Boston was so depressing because we spent everything plus what we borrowed
just to get there.
Just to get there and
get
pay
the
for
apartment
rent.
and get the rent paid. A little shithole. You want to talk about shithole countries? No, we had a shithole apartment. And it was costing us, by the time we left there, we were paying $2,300 a month for a raggedy 2-bedroom apartment. $2,300 a month. So
we didn't have Christmas for the kids.
It
If it
was
wasn't
sad.
for parents and godparents and family, they wouldn't have had a Christmas. We had a little $5 Target Christmas tree that was a little tabletop, little itty bitty.
That big.
So much so that the ornaments would knock the tree over. That's how heavy. But the kids, they didn't know anything.
They had toys from Mr. and Mrs. Ross.
Yes.
And you know what he said? And I'm gonna do my best. You know I'm a crying ass nigga.
I will show him this.
He said a couple days ago, because I was like, I had her call him up and say, hey, send me your bank account number and we gonna pay what we owe. And he was like, he doesn't have to apologize for being late, because we're how many years late now?
We went in with
2013.
So 7 years late.
7 years late. And he was like, he didn't care about it being late, because he knew that if my father was still alive, that he would have been doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that your dad would be proud of you.
Proud of what we're doing now. So, Mr. Rawls.
And so we've been lucky. We've been blessed to have people in the right place to kind of
look out for us,
to help. And we want to, in turn, do the same thing.
Now, when we got to Boston and had that depressing ass Christmas, we still were coming up short. And I had to reach out to a coworker who, I'm not going to name his name, but he knows who he is, from Jacksonville. And
so let's backtrack.
Yeah.
Before you even go there, there was no Benjamin Dixon show.
Right.
He was a school teacher in Jacksonville.
Right. School teacher in Jacksonville. And I reached out to a colleague, because it just wasn't coming together. We had borrowed money to get to Boston. It wasn't coming together, and ends weren't meeting. So I called one of my friends, coworkers, and he gave me a loan with interest. But the interest was my suggestion. I'm like, hey, I'm going to pay you back with interest, and I will pay you back with a late fee if I don't get it to you on time. Sure enough, I got it to him on time with interest, but I still really appreciated that, because it helped us connect the dots. Then, number 5, driving to the...
So... although up north is great for public transportation, like they have everything. They have the commuter train, they have the subway, they have buses.
But it's expensive.
It is entirely too expensive, but it is what it is. They've been doing it for umpteen years. We didn't take into consideration that certain things wouldn't be in place with my job until I met that probationary period, right? So Ben and the 2 kids,
Brand new baby,
had to get up with me every morning because we couldn't afford the commuter train.
I blocked your ass, by the way, A1. Go ahead.
Oh.
We had to drive from South Shore
to
the outer skirts of the city to drop you at the subway. Because we couldn't afford the commuter train.
Yep.
So anybody from...
Every day. And pick me up.
And pick her up. And when I came back in the snow, I used to have to carry a newborn with one arm. And I might be big, but I'm a small frame dude. And I was struggling with that newborn while holding my 3-year-old by that time, or 2.5-year-old. In the other arm, carrying them up the stairs. And I think that might have been the first time I saw a bicep cut in my arm after doing that.
So it was interesting. We had to learn how to maneuver and pivot. I feel like...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold the paper.
Okay, you hold the paper. That was number 5, actually. Mm-hmm. So number 6, I took a job overnight. I was working an overnight job. It was, I've already told you about it. It was with the company called HubSpot, and I moved up, but I started working the overnight shift. I would start at 7 p.m. and work till 7 a.m. Every night. So while the kids were asleep, I was logged in, and I was able to work from home, but that overnight shift was
And it was still during the time period of when we had to get up.
Right.
And take me to the subway.
So by the time I got off work, I was going downstairs to drive you to the city, and then I would come home, and I still would have to stay. I don't know how I was sleeping, because when we first did this, they weren't in daycare.
We couldn't afford
daycare. And then finally I got my first couple checks, and then we put them in daycare. Mm-hmm. But I was doing, I guess that's why I can do what I do now, because I would work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., drive you to the city, come home, bring the kids upstairs, pretend like I was teaching them something. But at the end of the day, I was like, y'all just lay there, sit still, let daddy close his eye for a few seconds. And that's when Lizzie drank hand sanitizer. And I called the poison control, and they were like, well, she might just get a little tipsy, but she'll be all right. So,
exactly.
All right. Number 7.
3 jobs.
Oh, well, I kind of described that. That's when I started doing the Benjamin Dixon show, and I still did it with having 2 other jobs, working overnight and doing freelance consulting. Go ahead.
Then,
Oh, number 8. Ooh.
in the midst of all of that, I'm working. He's doing 3 jobs. The kids are doing what they're doing. We still could not make ends meet.
Right.
And this is also trying to pay back student loans. And they call until they get their coins, right?
Yep.
So a couple of times I had to borrow from my 401k.
Every time.
Well, like once a year. To kind of cushion where we were as far as living expenses. Like we weren't going out. We didn't have time to go out because we had no family there.
Right.
We were literally there by ourselves. There was no, oh, hey, Ma, can you watch the kids? Or,
Right. Because we were so far away from
at least 17 hours.
If we were we didn't even talk about the fact that we drove back and forth from Florida to Boston 4 times
within like a month.
To complete the move.
Yeah.
But then when we were up there, like as much as they supported us to get up there financially, we had nobody to drop the kids off to.
Absolutely. And so I'm grateful we had no major issues that required the need of family.
Right. We survived.
We forgot about Benjamin. He was, with the throat and everything.
What happened with his throat?
Remember when he was sick and he used to get the strep throat all the time? We were
The
in and out of the
fevers.
hospital.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, the nonstop fevers. My son started having fevers at 2, and on his second birthday, he had serious fever.
Put that on the list.
And man, we went to the hospital so many times.
Yeah, and they couldn't figure
And
out.
they never found out. And then
what
he
it
just.
was.
But one doctor said that this happens sometimes, and then it just goes away.
But imagine doing that and having to work. And having to go to the community. Like we had no one. So we just had to figure out how to make it work and just do head down and push through.
Pushing through, which brings us to leaving.
Well,
childcare. I mean, yes. Childcare was more expensive.
$22,000.
No, $2,200 a month.
No, I'm talking about the year.
The year was whatever 22 a month is times 12. Don't ask me to do the math, but it was a lot.
I remember
24. Somebody do the math for us real quick.
I don't know. It was a whole college tuition.
It was a private school for child care, folks.
And
see, go ahead.
But no, that's just child care. That doesn't include the diapers, doesn't include the food that you got to bring, and the extra clothes. It includes none of that. And then they want to have a little bells and whistles, like the little, events or whatever. And then you come out of pocket for that.
Right. They didn't even feed them babies for $22,000. But there was this one year. I'm going to tell them about that year. There was this one year where we transitioned from the child care to this quasi public school system. My son was he was in kindergarten, so he was in public school. My daughter was in a pre-K, and we were supposed to be paying. And I constantly was like, okay, well, we would apply for assistance. And so we applied for assistance, but they never did the paperwork. And on God, I asked them, every month, because I did not want to get to the end of the year.
Yep.
I did not want to get to the end of the year, and they told me I owe them $10,000. They ain't never sent us not a bill. They ain't never sent us not.
Won't he do
it? like we tried. I've got the email thread to this day. And don't come asking me now, even though I could afford to pay you now. We try to pay you then. But but before that, it was like just nonstop, not able to afford because childcare was so expensive. So we were caught in. We weren't even in the middle class trap. We were in the lower, like upper working class, if at best upper working class. Yeah. Then we moved. I got an offer here in Atlanta, and this is because you got pregnant. You got pregnant.
And
we just did the math.
It wasn't going to work.
It wasn't going to work.
And because I'm seasoned, or the medical term is geriatric pregnancy, because I was pregnant after the age of 35. I think I was 38.
Yeah.
With Jeremiah. And in the past, I've had gestational diabetes.
So I told you it was more than 22. It was $26,400 a year. For childcare.
Yeah. But so once we found out I was pregnant, we were like, okay, we got to think about this. How are we gonna make this work?
And it just wouldn't. It was not going to work because in between all of this, I had to, if you want to know why I'm a socialist, it's because of our story. I'm not a socialist because of theory, even though the theory bears out. I'm a socialist because at every single point, we couldn't catch a damn break. Because, watch this, when my son went to kindergarten, he was starting to get out of school at 2:00. And at least with childcare, it was costing us damn near $30,000 a year, but they could keep him to 6, which meant we had time to get back from the city on the train, take the subway, get the commuter train, and get back. And I promise you, we used to hit the corner on 2 wheels. We're coming. We would hit it, and we always managed to get them at 5:59.
Yeah.
Well, shit. When he started going to public school, he was out at 2:00, and we looked at each other and we were like, one of us got to leave our jobs. 'Cause I was still doing the Benjamin Dixon show at night, but by that time I had got promoted. I was down. I was at the corporate office. I wasn't working from home no more. I was, put on my nice little suit, and then I realized, oh, y'all don't dress like that. So then I started wearing my flip flops and sandals like the rest of the white boys, and just blended in with the prep crowd, right? Used to have pizza first Fridays. They would buy like 1,000 boxes of pizzas, and it was like HubSpot was the dopest time of my corporate life. She liked to go. I snuck her in one weekend with my car.
To be honest,
I had to go there.
Well, no, it was that, but no, they used to have family Halloween parties.
Oh yeah, they used to,
like
but still, I snuck you in that
I'm
weekend.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to touch.
I went in. We were at the mall across the street, and then I said, "Let's go to the office." And I had because I want to get something from my desk, and we went through the cafeteria. I was like, "Get some Starburst, get some of the tea, and and some of the."
These were our dates because we had nobody to watch the kids.
Well, we only did that once. Now, HubSpot, we only got you one time.
But I mean, we would meet during the day because we had the kids in the
evening. Yeah, we dated in Boston on our lunch break.
Yeah,
I would leave and catch the subway to go to Harvard, and we would meet up and we'd eat for like 20 minutes.
Exactly.
And then we'd rush back to our offices because we knew once we got home, we didn't have anybody to watch the kids. All right. So the reason I am a socialist is because at every turn we couldn't catch a break. And when Benjamin went to kindergarten, we one of us had to leave our jobs because there was no way we could get back to get them at 2:15 if we're working in the city. So we came to Boston for her job. So I left my job, corporate job, that I still love to this day, and probably would still be there right now. So maybe I should thank capitalism for pushing me out because now I can talk my socialism shit for a living. And so I love HubSpot. And then we lost a whole income, right? It was the Benjamin Dixon show wasn't making any money. I think I was definitely paying more money but I was able to take care of the kids. So I was daddy daycare again. And lo and behold, you got pregnant.
Yeah.
Now, all through this time, mind you, we've had marriage problems at every step of the way. Marriage problems at every step of the way. But we were always good.
With the kids.
We were good partners, right? Friends. We were good friends. And we were always going to do what needed for the kids. And so even though we were having marital problems all along the way, we stuck it out because we had no choice.
Yeah.
We thousands of miles away from home.
Yeah.
And then somehow in the midst of our marital problems, she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
And we honestly, like quiet as it's kept, I want to put this one political thing I'll throw in here. If you look at the data on abortions, you will see that there's a large percentage of people who are married, middle-aged, who have abortions because they cannot financially afford another child. And they are always attacking abortions because they want to make you think that it's some young, irresponsible person. So what if it is? That's their business. But we found ourselves, like, I don't even know if I ever brought it up to you. I think I hinted, like, and not that we were seriously considering it, but I remember telling you, I'm like, I can understand the data now. I could understand because I hadn't been in the shoes. But I'm like, we want our kid, but what are we going to what are we going to do? Because we can't live here anymore.
Exactly. This is after you left
I had to leave a job to get my kids from public school, but then we get pregnant, and now we're going to have to put them in childcare.
Even before the whole pregnancy, when you left your job, we couldn't afford childcare.
Right.
So then it was juggling, okay, well, man, I remember sitting in the kitchen in Boston, like, okay, well, what day? Okay, they'll go Tuesday and Thursday, and then we'll have the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or vice versa. Because he was doing the Benjamin Dixon show. She
didn't just get pregnant, Ben. Someone else was involved. I might have had a little something to do with it. I don't miss.
I mean,
I don't miss.
But we literally had to figure out how we're going to do. Like, it was a growing up Boston.
Boston was some growing up.
There's
some pivotal growing up moments in this narrative. Some I can't even say by name.
Yeah. But now a lot of our the way we move, the way we navigate life together, we know, okay, that's not that big of a deal because we've been through X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Or, that's a trigger.
Yes.
We might want to pay attention to this.
Right. No, we know the alarms now. We know the alarms. So
pregnant.
We were forced out of Boston. Mm-hmm. Right. But we couldn't afford where we're going to go. So I took a job in Atlanta, and I moved to Atlanta to start getting some of that income. And I had to leave her in Boston pregnant with two kids, essentially by herself, but her mother came up.
Yes, so my mom came up, and she was a huge help. In the house.
But she wasn't going to drive you to the city.
But my mom, she don't do the city. That's not her thing. So I still had to, luckily my job, I did love
was
my
understanding.
Job. And the people that I work with, they were understanding.
Right.
But I still had to get up and drop the kids off.
Right.
And then I had to so at that time I was working 1 week in the office, 1 week outside the office, pregnant, morning sickness, navigating.
And her husband is in Atlanta.
So I'm doing it, no offense to you, I was doing it by myself.
I was sending you checks.
Okay.
But they weren't big. They weren't meaningful.
I needed you physically.
And the checks weren't that big. So
So just take all of that into consideration.
Yes. No. Oh,
Stressful.
you telling them.
You
telling them. Okay, because I did.
No, I know
So I'm in Atlanta now. Mind you, I've talked to you, and she knows. I've talked to you guys about the party side of my life. That shit wasn't going on while I was at, because we had no money, literally no money. I was living in a college dorm. Right. It was a summer break, and somebody wanted to sublet their college dorm, and I was in that college dorm. Like, I'm a grown ass man, like with kids, with 2 degrees, 2 good degrees, and wasn't making any real money. All I could afford for those 3 months, because I still had to make sure rent was paid in Boston.
Yeah.
I still had to make sure everything was covered, make sure the light, I had 2 sets of utilities now. So I had to live in a college dorm, and that was some depressing time.
I appreciate you. I mean, I think we've said this before, all of this, but I will agree with him. He did make sure
everything was taken care of.
Even me physically and mentally, being pregnant and trying to navigate that whole situation.
Yeah.
And not having my husband with me was.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. If there was anything that ever broke me, man, I missed my family during those 3 months. Mm-hmm. Like, boy, I just, when I got back to Boston to get y'all, mm-hmm. I think that's when I finally was like, and that was stage 1 of breaking me in. Stage 2 comes when we got to Atlanta.
Yeah.
All right, so let me bring it. Now we're here in Atlanta, and 3 month separation, living in a dorm in Atlanta. Jada was in Boston by herself with the kids.
So this is
why I would never stop fighting for a safety net for everybody. Listen. Everybody needs not just a safety net, but everybody needs a way to have children and to survive, even if you don't got a dime to your name. Because when we moved to Atlanta, we didn't have a
Listen.
dime to our name.
Listen.
Again.
Can I say, listen, I'm about to share. This is where the list gets a little rough.
Yep.
So
Personal.
personal.
Listen,
but once again,
you want me to say it?
No.
Okay,
no, not
you
at all.
say it. All right.
I've moved past that point of
Being afraid to share.
being afraid, being embarrassed, and it's crazy because I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be embarrassed. That's what it's there for. What I'm about to tell you. So yeah, Ben moved here 3 months in advance of us. By the time we got to Atlanta, okay.
Before we get to Atlanta,
Okay.
shout out to my brother-in-law.
Oh yeah.
My man drove, and shout out to Max also.
Yeah.
Max, I don't know if you're watching. Max was my my producer in Boston.
Yeah.
But y'all saw my video from last night, and y'all saw how big I was. I literally was too overweight to go up and down the steps by myself and
We
move
didn't
the
even
house.
Talk about that part of Boston.
About what?
How we used to, those nights where you had to pick me up from the train station with the kids, and then we would go to the studio there.
Oh yeah.
And then we
and
would
they came
get
to the
home,
studio to and then we have to order food at the studio
Yep.
because that's when the show was starting to pick up.
And then we didn't get home to 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night sometimes.
Yeah, with the
And
whole
that place
kids
was in a warehouse area.
in the warehouse district, but
Where
it was
homeless people.
it was well
dark.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It was just.
It
a
was
sketchy-
not a it was a place for me, not a newborn.
family. Yeah.
Right. Period. Now, back to my brother-in-law. Shout out to my brother-in-law because he came up. I picked him up. This was after Charlottesville. I picked him up somewhere near Charlottesville, and we were riding behind this van that had some KKK stuff in the back. So shout out to my brother-in-law who was in the military, and who is in the military. And thankfully, he was in shape enough to get up and down them steps along with Max. I did a couple of moves, right? But the biggest thing I remember was we had everything budget. Moving from Boston to Atlanta, we had everything budget down to the penny. Except I had no recollection. I did not recall how much gas a U-Haul drinks. And I had budgeted for gas, but I didn't realize that it was going to cost me damn near $800 in gas to get from Boston. And so when I looked at that gas tank and I went through the first $75 in the first 30 miles, I was like, oh shit, we're not going to make it to Atlanta. And two things, bruh. My brother-in-law looked at me and said, man, what you worry about? You going to get to Atlanta. I'm going to get you there. And I was like, thanks, dog. But even better, my wife said, babe, what you worry about? We still got that $400 in the Wells Fargo. Hey, I was, so I'm sitting driving. I'm driving.
Structure. Creative.
I made the money.
Structure.
But she made sure that we had the money because I completely forgot. I was like I budgeted. I did budget though. Mm-hmm. I did budget, but I just did not allocate for the amount of gas that freaking truck was going to guzzle. I underestimated it because it had been so long since we drove a U-Haul across the country. It had been 5 years or however long. So anyway, my brother-in-law just stepped in and gave me a reassurance, and I'm like, whew. But my wife has stepped in and be like, you forgot, we did have this over here, and that was even better. All right, so we made it to Atlanta.
So we made it to Atlanta, and
You were pregnant.
So what?
I was working for a small business.
June, July, August.
You were big.
Well, yeah. So I was about 5 months, maybe, give or take, when I got there. So here's the interesting point, or fact, because it's the true fact. Ben had no insurance. So
No health insurance.
None.
I had a job, and we had moved into Atlanta where our expenses were immediately cut in half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cost of living is so much better.
It was so much better there.
Yeah.
We're not good at this. We'll let you guys figure it out. And so we were able to make it on, Well, no, because as soon as we got here, I started doing the math. I'm like, this is not going to make it. This is not going to cut it. So I picked up a second job immediately when we got here. And then I picked up a third job playing music at a small church. And let me tell you, that small church that I was playing music for, like my goal in the money that we make now, I pay my tithes. The reason I pay my tithes is because these churches carried me. I remember there was one time you were over at your parents' house in Jacksonville, and I had nothing except for the check that they gave me that Sunday. And Walmart didn't want to cash that goddamn check. Forgive me, Lord. And I was about to turn because they cashed it the week before. They wouldn't cash it this week because I was at a different Walmart. In the white neighborhood, they cashed my check. In the black neighborhood, they didn't want to cash my check. And I was about to I was about to blow that place up. I'm telling y'all, the opposite side of Disney Dad is the man who's been through all this shit that I've been through, and I'm living on the edge. And so I was about to turn, and I honestly don't know how that story ended, except for I was able to cash it somewhere. Yeah. But it wasn't at that Walmart. I had to bite my tongue, walk out, and go cash my check because I was like, it was the racism on top of it, because in the white neighborhood they didn't give me no problems the prior week. In the black neighborhood they would not cash the same damn check. All right, I'm still mad about that. But if I hadn't had that check from the small church that I was playing for, I couldn't drive over to Jacksonville because I didn't have any gas. So before we finish, I want you to make sure, I don't want you to get to your point, but that's the kind of shit you need to have on your list of all the shit we went through to get here. And you can fill in the rest for whatever it is that so you don't have to apologize for shit. You don't have to apologize for nothing. Yeah. Your point.
So I got here and like I said, no insurance. So now I have to navigate. First off, let me just be honest and be transparent. That stressed me out. Yes. That made me nervous. One, because with all three pregnancies, I've had high risk pregnancies. So I already knew that I was going to need a perinatologist. I already knew I was going to be checked triple time for stress levels and gestational diabetes and weight gain and all the preeclampsia, all these different things. And I'm just like, I'm in a new place. I don't know anybody per se. And now I got to figure out how I'm going to find a doctor.
Without insurance.
Without insurance.
Which is another reason I'm a socialist. Because there should be nobody on the face of this planet, definitely in this country, whoever has to make that goddamn decision. So
now, Ben's doing his thing and he's working. I'm pregnant with the 2 kids. Trying to navigate that whole thing. So what else can I do but apply for Medicaid? And let me put a pause on that. That whole Medicaid process is for the birds. What you have to do and how they treat you and how they make you feel, it's ridiculous. Like literally I came in August. And being the person of structure and rules and regulations,
you were doing the work.
I was doing it, and I don't think I had my first appointment until September or October.
And you're right. That you were at the end of the second trimester there.
Yeah. So imagine me being at this time I'm a third time mom. I'm kind of I know the works of the prenatal vitamins and doing this and doing that. But imagine being a first time mom, trying to navigate that and not knowing, the ins and outs of being pregnant. And so I'm constantly calling people, don't call me back. They accidentally hang up on me.
They act like they doing you a favor.
Exactly. And I'm like, I just want the bare minimum. Just let me get to the doctor so then I can make sure that my child is growing healthy.
I can't tell you this time of night.
Within me, and that I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm dealing with all these stresses, and I have to navigate that whole system.
Right.
And so finally, after hounding my caseworker, and going to the office a couple of times and standing in a ridiculous line that you have to be there at the wee hours of the morning before they even open up. Right.
Excuse the extra large one here, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was going to be that big. Shout out to my boy, Marcus. He's from FAMU, too.
Oh, hey, Rattler.
Okay.
But yeah, just having to navigate that. And then when you have all of your paperwork and then you get this notice that says, oh, well, you don't have X, Y, and Z. I get to the window and I'm like, no, I do. Well, you need to go around the corner and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like...
And it beats your own people sometimes.
And it's like, I'm bringing life into the world. This is not me saying, oh, I want that new shirt. Oh, I want them red bottoms or this. No, you literally can see my belly.
Right. You about to blow.
I'm struggling.
And can I say one other thing? I don't mean to cut you off here, but when you said your belly, I remember how much the church we found loved on you because of your belly. And one of the reasons, I promise you, one of the reasons we stay together as a couple, because we ain't got to that.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons all jokes aside, like I had a summer that was going to take me out. And one of the reasons it didn't take me out was because we had a faith community that helped sustain us. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So imagine standing in a long line and you can't get out of line. It's not like, oh, you can have a seat or, oh, you can go, go and come back, because that ain't gonna happen. But I'm having to stand in line, pregnant. By this time, I'm probably 6 months, right? And so you're going through all these different things, and I'm still dealing with the emotion that I no longer have a job. I don't have benefits. I have 2 other kids. My husband is here dealing with he's dealing with. So it's all these different things that were going on. And it was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
But at the end of the day, as demoralizing as it was, and it was shameful, right? Because we come right. Yeah. We come from I come from middle class, lower middle class. Who am I fooling? I come from lower middle class, upper working class. That's where I grew up. And I had government assistance growing up all my life anyway. So, but we had a glimmer of we can make it out. And then it got snatched right back from underneath us. And we're now, for the first time in our marriage, on public assistance. Yeah. And that shit.
Because you
just breaks you down.
You're taught that you go to school, you graduate from high school, you go to college, you get these degrees, and you're gonna get this awesome job, and you're gonna make the world a better place, and certain things don't apply to you until you get there, and you're like, oh shoot.
Yep. This is all within the last 4 years, Nick. This is in the Trump administration, and so go ahead. No. But so then you got to keep the facade. Yeah. Right. You got to keep the forward-facing facade for social media. Yeah. And in reality, we weren't doing I was doing a lot of posting about politics, and that's probably why I was so pissed off back. If you were following me about 4 years ago, I was angry on Twitter all the goddamn time. I was cussing everybody out. Everybody was a motherfucker this. Everybody's a motherfucker that. Everybody. It didn't matter because I was taking out. I was right. I was right. And I was trying to be rational and stuff, but it had a level of venom that mirrored what we were going through.
Yeah, and I think, I think I was the opposite. I was the opposite. I have a tendency to hold those emotions in. And so I wasn't really posting anything. I was just like, I'm just going to be in my own little bubble. Right. Living life. I'll post a little picture here and there. Actually, a lot of people, except for our family, our immediate family, like his side, his sisters and, mom and brother, and then my side, nobody knew that I was pregnant. Nobody knew.
Early on.
Early on.
Because they could see it by the time we got to Atlanta.
Yeah, they didn't know. We did a little photo shoot. Oh, yeah. That was how they knew that we had the But your mom knew, obviously. Yeah.
Nikki wants to know, what about the Affordable Care Act? Was it not enrollment time? It wasn't enrollment time. My enrollment time was November, but you don't get insurance till January. And Jeremiah was born in January. So they were no assistance to us. But I had, by the time Obamacare came around again, I had my third job, and I was able to get us Obamacare for that year for the first 4 months, and then I couldn't afford it anymore. Anyway, so it was demoralizing, but we did it, and even though it was demoralizing, it was it was a relief too, because by the time we got to the doctor, I'm gonna tell you who treated us like we were paying them first class.
Before you get to that, I will bring up, because you mentioned, your upbringing and where you are. I had a conversation with Ben's mom, and I was just so frustrated. I was just angry. And once again, I didn't want to let my family know that I was going through the things that I was going through. And it's crazy, right? You would think you could do that. But, I once again had that facade of, I'm Jada. I went to school. I went to college.
We both had master's degrees.
Exactly. I got two.
We both had She had two. I had one. And I was all but dissertation.
And I felt like a disappointment. And it's crazy, but I felt like a disappointment to my family. And anyways, I had, the opportunity to talk to his mom. And she was like, you don't be ashamed of nothing. If I could say it like, howbeit soever.
Howbeit soever is a phrase.
She said, you don't be ashamed of nothing. You are giving life. So whatever it is that you need to do, however you need to handle your business, do that.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need that permission. It's crazy, but sometimes you just need that permission for somebody to say, it's okay.
It's okay.
But then also learning to not to wait on the other person to give you permission. Give your own self permission. Go ahead.
The doctor.
Yeah.
And the staff.
Yes.
At Emory.
Yes.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
They treated us like they didn't even know.
Exactly.
Like they treated us like they would treat us now.
Exactly. And it was like, once I was in the system and I chose the doctor that I chose, her whole team, if I can remember her name,
dope.
But they were awesome. I have to tell Ben later so he could tell you all. But they were awesome. And the perinatalogist, same thing.
Yep.
He was awesome. Like literally, they made us feel like everybody else, regardless of your status or social economic status.
Matter of fact, I don't know that they even knew we were on Medicaid. Did they know?
I don't know.
There was no special identification. They just,
no, they do.
They did. Well,
because...
damn it, they treated us like we had the best insurance in the world, and God bless them for that.
Because believe me when I tell you, they check to make sure that bill is paid.
That's true.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
But they made sure that we were informed. They made sure that we had the information that we needed. So much so that the perinatologist, so I had, towards the end of our pregnancy, like I said, once again, high risk pregnancy, I was going to deliver, I was scheduled for a C-section.
Right.
I've always been scheduled for a C-section because I've had big babies. I just have big babies.
Babies with big heads.
Well, big heads. Big heads and broad shoulders.
They got my back head
and my forehead.
Head,
you can tell we
my shoulders.
And so
not a single one came naturally.
None. So it wasn't for cosmetic reasons. Trust me. I had a whole birth plan. No, they were like, yeah, that's not going to happen naturally for you. So I just come to grips with it. Anyways, so I was already due a week prior to the actual delivery date because they want to make sure that you're not going to go in active labor before the C-section.
And you went in for an appointment.
So I went in for an appointment.
Friday.
A Friday. He remembers. Max was here. And so I went in, I'm like Miss Independent. I got this. I got there and I could tell it was something a little different about the person doing the ultrasound. Like she was like,
Mm-hmm.
But they can't tell you anything that they're not allowed to. But she did make it a point to tell me that, Jeremiah's lungs were good and they were moving.
Right.
So anyways, I'm going into the office and he was like,
they told you.
Are you here by yourself?
Right.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, we're going to admit you. And I'm like,
for what? Because you're going to have the baby today.
Because apparently my amniotic fluid was low.
Right.
And so they didn't want to chance holding out any longer for him. I know. It's just hard.
It's easy to look at yourself.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
And so Ben, friend, Max came from
the
Boston.
producer from Boston, came
Yes.
down to check out
They
what we
had
were working on.
just made it to Marietta.
We had just made it to, well, yeah, okay, so it
Well,
don't matter now because we're not in Marietta anymore. We made it
Exactly.
to the studio, and there's a video actually on YouTube if you
Yeah.
want to see. And I'm like, hey, no show today. The baby's on the way.
I'm like, I'm calling him. Well, luckily my mom came early, just for this type of scenario where it was like, okay, if he's 45 minutes away
Right.
from me,
Well, she was already in town, right?
she was already in town,
Look
but
at
she
that.
wasn't supposed to come until the following week.
Right. She came early.
And she came early, and so thanks to you, because you were like, I just don't feel right leaving you at the house by yourself. So anyways, I'm literally calling Ben. I'm like, hey, what you doing? And he's like, oh, I just made it. I said, well, I'm gonna need you to come back.
Right.
I'm gonna need you to come back because they're about to do the C-section. He was like, well, when? I said, I don't know.
And so I just got on the road. And what was great was everything fell in line. I don't care what you believe, what you don't believe. I can give you, God be looking out for us, y'all. Now, if you don't believe God, that's cool. The universe be looking out for us, y'all. Because her mother was not going to drive from our house to the city downtown to and help with, because like she was dope enough for just being there. So thank you, Nana.
Yes.
Right. But Max was in town and he was able to do all that. And he was not, I mean, the baby wasn't supposed to come for the next week. So it's like the universe just lined stuff
Sorry,
up.
Max.
And he just, I mean, won't he do it?
Yes.
Won't he will? Let me tell you. So anyway, when I see like how things line up and stuff has been like really, really hard. And we, cause it's 1:00 in the morning. Oh, we get an extra hour of sleep tonight.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we good.
So I guess it's right on time.
Yeah, it's right on time. So anyway, that was our journey coming to Boston. Now check this out, coming to Atlanta. Check this out. Everything that we told y'all. The company that moved us down, or they didn't even move us down here. The company we came down here for. Jeremiah was born in January. They shut down the whole goddamn business in February.
That part.
And so I'm going to speed up the story a little bit. Is this Max for real? Max, are you on Twitch? Max, if that's you, text me. You got my number. Hang on. Text me if that's really you, and I'll give you a shout. I'll put your handle on the board. But anyway, they shut down the whole damn bit. So now I've got a new baby in a new city. All I had at that point, the only income I had at that point was from the Benjamin Dixon show and our patrons.
And then,
And the little church that I found to play for.
But to be transparent, once again, and we have these moments and he'll share his, imagine being a mom of 3. You left Harvard University on a wing and a prayer for a company that's shut down.
After the baby comes.
Now,
no harm, no foul.
No. It's not even about the company, but it's just
like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Really?
Like, and let me add on top of that, and my women in the audience will know, it's a struggle to try to find a job while you're pregnant. It's definitely a struggle trying to find a job after you're pregnant. So that wasn't even in my cards.
Right.
So I couldn't even help contribute anything.
Right.
And now you tell us you're going to close your business, like.
But look at God. Look at the universe, y'all. Listen, again, I don't know what you believe, and I'm totally cool. You ain't got to believe nothing I believe. But the weekend they shut us down, I had a speaking engagement down in South Florida.
Yep.
And then I ended up making one speaking engagement, turned into 2 speaking engagements, and then we had enough money from that weekend to survive about a month.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing about this type of lifestyle. If you understand this type of lifestyle, having enough money to last a month is a blessing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, do I have enough money to last a week?
Yep.
So when I tell you that I'm fighting for a certain set of things, it's from my trauma, our trauma, a sensitive place in us that if you let us, we would cry right now because it
Absolutely.
was so traumatizing.
Absolutely.
While
My eyes are sweating now.
Cognizant of the fact that as tough as it was for us, we were still blessed. And there were people who probably would give anything to be in our shoes.
Absolutely.
So there you go. That was my winter, spring, and summer of discontent. And if it wasn't for my brother stepping in and giving me some money to hold over and connect the dots, unemployment, I was on unemployment. It is a demoralizing process. They sit you in a room and make you watch this video about why it's bad to steal unemployment benefits. The whole time, the radical in me was like, I will burn this motherfucker to the ground. Fuck, excuse me, babe. I'm sorry. But you were trying to dehumanize me at the point where I'm on edge already.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the opiate of the masses, I don't care. It's a good thing we got church. Because if I didn't have church, I'd be in jail. Okay? Or dead. Or both. I don't know how that works. But the point is I'm sorry. I needed some opiate for the masses at that point. I needed something to calm me and soothe me, to keep me at peace before I go out here and snap the heads and the necks of these people who are lecturing me at my lowest point. I'm in Atlanta without a job, with a newborn baby.
Yeah.
And you making me watch videos and telling me about how bad it's going to be if you steal health insurance benefits. I said, bitch, I will kill you. It was a guy. You ain't going to cancel me. So,
But I think also in addition, and I know.
I'm sorry. It's a tough.
So this is a case in point. Like you all don't. Well, I don't know about Ben. He may do this with you all, but we typically don't live in that world of anger. But there is a side to us that we try to push down, because once it's released, it's a whole nother situation.
So I try to tell people the yin to my yang. Y'all, I try my best to be Disney dad, but my wife literally had to keep me from engaging in a form of protest that probably would have started a civil war here. Because I was angry. And my wife was able to walk me back from the edge, not by talking me down, but by looking at me like, boy, is you crazy? You still black now. Don't forget that you black. It ain't going to play out the way you want. We don't have to tell them no more. Don't tell them everything. Don't tell them no more.
No, it's just because I just had to pull at the heartstrings a little bit, just saying, like, who do you want your kids to
remember me?
Yes. Right?
Yes.
Be bigger than
I want them to remember me as the man who tried his best to be good. But if these people don't, I'm trying to tell y'all, if you can identify with the obvious rage and trauma that you can see in our eyes and feel in our voices, there are people who haven't made it out from where we made it out of.
Exactly.
They ain't going to be as patient as I've been and as she has been.
Yeah. And so to go back to that summer, unemployment, barring.
Working to build a business.
We're going to build a business. But wait, we also, my sister, she's retired now. I'm a military brat, but she's retired now. She would help with groceries. She would literally come up from Jacksonville, and basically our family's blessings, because they made a way and they allowed us to continue on this path of creating what we have now. So I just want to keep reiterating the fact that what we received on many different levels, we want to do the same thing, but we just have to figure out how to do it with boundaries.
Right.
So anyways,
right. Yeah. Because that's the thing. It's like all the people who helped us survive, all the different ways God provided, all the different ways the universe aligned for us, perfectly for us to come out and be on the exact opposite end of the spectrum now, right? We go around, we go around like, okay, we can get that. Oh, actually, no, we can afford that now. Oh, wait a minute, we can look at this neighborhood.
Yeah.
They had the gates closed in one neighborhood.
Wait.
And we're like, we want to get in that neighborhood because we're gonna, we're not there yet, but we're gonna buy us a home one day, and it's gonna be in that neighborhood. They had the gates open the other day. We drove in and we're like, okay. So we're on the opposite end of the spectrum. And so now that we're on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's we have to remember all the stuff that we came through, because we ain't apologizing to nobody about it. And the reason we are even having this conversation is because our hearts are to make sure that we can help as many people as possible, whether it be directly through working with us, indirectly by donations that we give to mutual aid organizations and to churches that have good outreach programs, or even more indirectly through the politics that I fight for. Everything that we do now is not about us trying to, like, we don't even care. Like, once we were able to pay our bills, we were good.
Hello.
We were good. Once I pay my bills, I go and sit in the backyard and not have to worry about my lights getting cut off. I was happy with my little piece of backyard. And I had some little ingrate, troll who insulted my middle class lifestyle. And it's like, F your backyard and your middle class lifestyle. And I was like, you clearly don't understand that I am not the one. Right. And then I just went ahead and blocked them, because it's more important for me to maintain my life and my peace and not, track that person down and troll them for real. Right. So I've learned that's why I stopped blocking people. I started blocking people now, because I can't afford to maintain, we've been through too much. Yeah. I ain't got time for these people's little games on social media. Like, y'all don't realize like what we've been through, because we ain't even talked about the fact that our marriage fell apart.
Okay, let's go. Because it's coming up.
All right.
It's coming up.
Shout out, I want to get up to, because that was Max, actually. So find out where we're on the list. I want to go find Max.
That summer afterwards.
The summer afterwards. Where?
Well, I know you're not going to say that.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to say that name, but there is a name on our paper. We're not going to say the name. Max, where are you at? Because you said it.
Something about it was his pleasure.
Max is in the chat room, and he said it was his pleasure to do it, and he texted me. So that was really Max. Oh, there he is. That's why no matter what, I'm loyal to folks, because, good people, they're hard to find, because you could run into other people, like it happens, right? And like I have. And so their articles, just go read the articles. That's all I'll say about that. We're going to skip number 15. Number 16, our marriage fell apart. Our marriage fell apart. I don't think we've ever said this publicly. I slept on a couch for like 2 years. It was my kids. I would try to wake up and get back into the room, or be out of the house working, so my kids wouldn't see me sleeping on the couch. But we had a very long period where we were, but I guess you can imagine what you were feeling. I can't speak to it, but, trying to have empathy, like I took you through a whirlwind. And
we took each other through a whirlwind. Like, what you see on TV is not reality.
What you see on social media.
Well, yeah, that too. Social media is not reality.
Yep.
And so imagine by this time, well, it was just last year.
year and a half.
But a year and a half.
Yeah.
But you have two individuals coming together as one, with their own mindset, their own
way of doing things.
But
we navigated our financial struggles. I would say like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. It was we did good there. Yeah. In the midst of it, we neglected each other emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like, and when we lived in Florida, we had more of an opportunity to date,
Right.
more opportunity to drop the kids off, whether with his side or my side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
They were only a couple of hours away or 30 minutes away. So we had the opportunities to date or court each other, if you
We
will.
had that in South Florida. We didn't have it in Boston.
We didn't have it
and
in
we grew
Boston.
apart in Boston,
Because
which is
it
why
was
I'm
the
always
grind.
surprised that we got pregnant because we were so far
It
apart.
only take one time.
Because I don't miss, but
But we had gotten to the point where it was just we had put our relationship to the side for the sake of the kids
Mm-hmm.
and living. We just knew we had to get through what we had to get through, and and it's weird because we were always friends. We could joke, we could laugh, we could show a
Right.
united front with the kids.
'Cause it was sincere.
It was. We genuine because we're like minded in so many different ways, which is why we work so well together. Because I know some married couples can't do what we do. I stay in my lane, he stays in his lane, and we come together, and here we are. But we lost that in Boston, and then that was 3 years, 3.5 years, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you move to Atlanta, and you have that one night of fun, and then you're pregnant, and then we're separated again.
Mm-hmm.
Not even dealing with the issues that we had in Boston.
Right.
Now we're adding on the fact that we're separated again. We're moving to a new area.
Mm-hmm.
Pregnant, no money, no insurance, like all these
Just
different
everything
things
was going wrong.
was going wrong. So I'm sure he was like, he might not have said it to me, but I know I felt like, why am I here? Why are we in the midst of this? Is this where we were supposed to be? Like, it was a lot. It was a lot.
And somebody told me to stop cutting you off. So I was like,
I'm used to it. That was a conversation too.
so we were living in the same house, but we were separated for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, had a business venture, and it did what it did, but it, and I did what I had to do, and we had enough. Hush, 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 girl. And had enough. We had enough for me to act stupid and blow a lot of money, playing a lot of poker, going out and just not. I mean, it was. We were about to get divorced. Mm-hmm. We had enough money for us to consider getting a divorce, but not enough money to actually do it.
Yeah.
And we've been laughing about it over the last couple weeks because we were like, if we had then what we have now, we wouldn't be married.
I'd have had alimony tea with the tea, alimony tea, everything. So things happen for a reason.
And I'm glad. I'm glad.
So this is where we can insert church.
Yeah.
Now, like he said, believe what you believe, but in this household,
And we love you. We love you all the
we
same.
believe in the Lord.
Right.
And there was that time period where we were friends and we were navigating whatever that was. But he would do the things he mentioned about the poker and, spending crazy amounts of money. But for me, church was my place to find refuge. Like, I didn't care what was going on, when it was going on.
Look how Brad wrote it. Alimony.
and my church, and if they're watching, and I'll probably share this, so they'll find out. But
became your refuge.
They don't even know that they have, or that they did that for me. I would go to life groups, which is like Sunday school. I would go to midweek service. I would go to church service, maybe both services.
Then I started realizing, I'm like, hold on a second now. I see why men who, be like, why you going to that damn church that much? But funny thing was, it was crazy. I was singing at the church. I like to sing. I'm not a good singer, but I like to sing. I like to rock the church like Kirk Franklin, right? And I was doing my job. Not my job. I was volunteering. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to cut you off, but it was like the church what kept us.
Case
But
in
yeah,
point,
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So whoever said that from Twitch, I'm sorry, from Twitter, I'm still going to do it because that's just how we operate. So I would be leading praise and worship. Mm-hmm. You'd be in the audience participating in praise and worship, but we sit separately in the church.
Yeah. So at the beginning, he would come sit next to me. Then it came to a point where he would sit in the back. Mm-hmm. And it was all that I had to keep pushing. By this time, transparent moment.
No, I'm not as good of a thinker as I think I am. Singer, I'm not. Go ahead.
At this time, I was dealing with postpartum depression. And I just wanted to lay in a bed. I literally just wanted to lay in the bed. And all of that, in addition to not having my partner next to me to kind of navigate that, I'm now trying to figure out how do I deal with this depression and save my marriage. Like, for me, I was not going to now I wasn't being foolish. Don't get me wrong. Well.
No. I bet you Mrs. Dixon has a lovely singing voice.
I mean, if you catch me on the right key, I might have a ooh yeah or something for you, but that's not my ministry. But just trying to navigate all of that and trying to keep faith through all of that, not only with the church, but with my family, our families, and realizing that we both needed grace and mercy.
Right. Because at the same time, you felt emotionally abandoned by me. Mm-hmm. I felt emotionally abandoned by you. Mm-hmm. And we were just kind of still partners enough to make sure the household functioned.
Yeah.
Still partners enough to make sure the kids couldn't tell which way. Yeah. But one thing my brother kept telling me was that your kids are going to see it eventually. Mm-hmm. They might not see it right now, but they're going to see it eventually. Mm-hmm. And other thing my brother said, he said, "Man, I don't care how much money you could pay an alimony. You ain't leaving no woman with a brand new baby."
Yeah.
Now, I didn't need him to tell me that, but it's something about hearing that said to you that reminds you that even though I didn't need him to tell me that, I'm glad he told me that.
Yeah.
Because it just had a level of oomph that was like, and so here we are emotionally on two different islands.
Well, and to add to that, before you go deep down into the islands.
No, I'm not gonna go too far. Some things will be left out.
We never really talked about our love languages. Like, how do we
we weren't clear
communicate our love
to
each other, and how do we reciprocate that love to each other? And so
I'm very never mind, we don't have to say. Okay, anyway, so we finally talked about that.
Yeah.
And it was just good that we didn't have money to get a divorce.
Yeah.
Because we would have divorced and been the best of partners.
Yeah.
Co-parenting. Because we never had a problem with that. Mm-mm. But what we needed was an opportunity to. So one day, I got really, look here, Kwame. Let me tell you something, bruh. Trust me when we got this thing going. Do we go to counseling?
We didn't have any money.
We didn't have the money to. Real talk. We did not have the money to. Do we have date nights? We're in a pandemic. So. But
I will say, even before the pandemic, we would have family members come over and they would spend the weekend with the kids that would allow us to go out and date. And while we're in the pandemic, we put the kids to bed, when they finally knock out, and then we'll watch a movie, or we'll have these in-depth check-in conversation type situations just to see where we are mentally and emotionally, separately, as well as I think as a result of all of this, Ben is more in tune when I get quiet. He checks in.
There will be no quiet moments in this house.
He checks in, one, to make sure I'm not going down that slope of depression again. But then also to make sure I'm not angry.
And my wife checks in.
Yes, I do. I ask him. I don't check in? Oh, okay.
My wife checks in on me.
Okay.
Make sure that I got everything I need.
Oh, okay.
And we just started piecing it back together, and we pieced it back together just before this damn pandemic broke.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did. And we had some honest conversations. Mm-hmm. And we sat down and we compared notes, and we were like, there's no way we're going to make it through this pandemic if we don't consolidate and get things working again. Mm-hmm. And
many nights of late discussions and having honest, very deep fellowship of words with each other, and just saying no. Because, a lot of times when we have those, or when married couples have those conversations, we hear them, but we're not listening to them. We hear to interject our viewpoint of how we think that other person is feeling, or we feel like that's what they're saying or what they meant. And in all actuality, it could be something totally different. Like, what was it? Something I said to you, and I was like, I don't care. It was something, we were in Boston.
Oh, do you want me to say that?
I mean, I guess I brought it up.
I don't know if you want me to. But you know what? They love you so much that they probably not even gonna see nothing wrong with what I'm about to say. They're gonna probably look at me and say it was me. So don't even let me set it up, because I'm gonna tell y'all this, and y'all probably gonna pick her side on it, but it don't matter. I know I was right. No. You were going through your process. Mm-hmm. And we'll just leave it there. Yeah. And I felt completely and totally alone and unhappy. Mm-hmm. And it took me the longest just to verbalize the phrase, I'm unhappy. Mm-hmm. Now, this was totally separate from the fact we forgave each other for our financial situations, because we both were working our asses off. Yeah. Like, I would never bother her about, because you felt a burden of keeping the house clean. And I'm like, babe, I can't keep it clean. So why am I expecting you to keep it clean? We both go, so I never let her buy into that responsibility of, oh, I got to work and keep that. Now I'm like, hey, neither one of them, go to bed. Let's drink this wine and go to bed, because we got to do this all over again. So we were fine. We forgave each other on that. But just emotionally, in terms of our relationship, you were coping one way. Yeah. I was coping another way. And it brought me to the point where I was like, finally verbalize it to you. And it took a lot. And I was like, babe, I'm legitimate. I'm unhappy. And you know what this said to me? You know what she said to me?
I said what I said when I said it. Now go ahead.
She said, I don't have time for that right now. And I was like,
I think at that point we both knew there were some things that needed to be
worked on. That we were on shaky ground.
And it wasn't even just that process. It was in general, like, it's just, and men, don't take offense, because I'm sure you all have a list of things that you all feel that you all need to do. And as a woman, you feel like you got a husband, you got kids, you got the house, you got to go work, you got to do this, yep. And you're like, I don't have time to worry about you and your feelings right now. I am literally just maintaining. Mm-hmm. I'm not above, I'm not below. I am just maintaining. Anything that will cause an emotional release at this moment, I cannot handle. So you and your feelings, gonna be you and your feelings.
But at the same time, I was wrong. And I don't know if it's so much that you were wrong. I think it was, I just needed you I needed you to know that I was almost gone.
Yeah.
And I was in a place where it was almost like I felt like if I don't tell you this, I'm not being fair to you. Because I didn't feel like you should be completely unaware of the fact of how miserable I am. I was surprised by your response, but to me, it really was about I shouldn't be over here having thoughts about leaving, finding a side chick, all these other thoughts that I was having in my head. I was like, it's not fair for me to be having all these thoughts and not tell it to you.
But I think this goes to the point that while we were in Boston, although we were together, we were separate.
Yeah.
And so for me, my coping was, I'm not going to deal with that.
Right.
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep pressing forward. And so many people didn't know. So many people didn't know.
Yeah.
And I didn't, so many people didn't know. And so I just had to keep up with the keep up and keep pushing forward and keep moving forward, if nothing else but for the kids. And the fact that there was where was I going to go? Because
Yeah.
the cost of living was ridiculous in Boston. So,
And in hindsight, what was I expecting? I didn't expect you to do anything. I didn't expect that reply.
you needed to be acknowledged.
But not even acknowledge. I needed you to understand, like, I'm losing my way over here, and I'm almost out the door, and not as a threat, but as like a cry for help. A cry for, not even a wake up call, a cry for help. And you hit me in the chest like, I ain't got time for that shit right now. And so we actually, from that place, we went even further separate ways, came to Atlanta, went even further separate ways. The whole time though, what we had together was we were good partners. We were good parents. We were struggling. We made sure we held the household together. And no matter what we went through, we always had a roof over our head, food on the table, lights stayed on, except for once they got cut off. And I had it back on. I had it back on within 10 minutes. And we came through it. And so that's our list. That's our list. And out of all of that, go ahead.
I think we
So and here's the last thing. Like, if you come up to date, we've reconciled a whole lot, and it took us 10 years and a pandemic to learn how to be married.
To learn how to be married and understand our roles in this partnership, and our love languages and how we're going to navigate going forward. No,
this is an important question. She said, "Did you counsel or just figure it out?" We didn't have the money for counseling.
Yeah.
We had to figure it out. But if you got the money for counseling,
absolutely. Like
please go.
Once we get out of this pandemic.
we still gonna go.
Yeah, I think individually as well as collectively, we need to go. And it's not. I can't see it because it's.
She said, "Are y'all doing good financially now?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all keep watching them videos. Y'all keep sharing them videos. Oh, I'm gonna hire people. We gonna expand the team.
Yes.
I might even pay off. I might start paying Sally Mae back. Nah. No, yeah, we are.
We are.
But
that's a whole other story for a whole nother day. That's a setup.
That's what we're gonna call our book. 10 years in a pandemic. But it was like we like the floodgates opened up.
Yeah.
And what it took was what I shared with you guys the other night was once I disconnected from everything outside of my house, and all I could be connected to was what was inside of my house.
And it's funny because you disconnected. I had to reconnect. I had to reconnect with people. I had to reconnect with the world. I had to be present because if anybody's had depression, you just want to seclude yourself in, not share anything because you don't want anybody to see the chaos that is going within.
Where your wife work now?
I work with my husband.
Hey, Hey, she's my business partner.
Yeah.
And even as quiet as it's kept right now, we work insane hours right now. Like she's my business partner, but she's also the kids' school teacher, right? Every time you see me on here, nothing I do is playing this. Like I'm not on here playing video games. Like I'm out here running a business. Like now, to be truthful, the live streams isn't really the bread and butter, but the live streams is where we connect, and I feel like there's a much stronger connection, and I don't ever want to stop that. But still, it's still business. Like I'm running a business, and I'm actually building the very same thing that I tried to build a couple years ago. Just doing it organically, and you can't keep a good man down, champ. Anyway, that said,
same formula.
That said, it's like we are able now in a position where we're going to start bringing in, like my wife runs a business side, and I bring her a name of a person, and if she knows them or if she doesn't, we discuss it, and we're going to bring them on. Yeah. And so we're going to start expanding slowly but surely, right? Very methodically and very carefully. But the whole idea is to leverage every dime like 10 times better than corporate media does, because we're doing good, but we can't waste a dime.
Exactly.
We can't afford to waste a penny.
It affects our livelihood.
If we waste a dime, we waste them.
For us to have. See, we've been with people, and I say we, but more so we've been with people who have had residual income, like play money. This is not play for us. This is
right
life.
Because if we get connected with the wrong people here, there'll be part 2 to this movie, and it'll be like, we didn't make it, y'all. We poor again, y'all.
Exactly.
And I ain't going back.
Nope.
I ain't going back. And it just so happens, like, not just so happens, I think it happened exactly the way it needed to happen. I don't care how much money I got or get. One, I'm never apologizing for it again. I've apologized for it before, because one, it was like when you've been poor, you feel guilty about having money. And two, because of my politics, I'm a socialist, and I mean that shit. And I believe that everyone, well, before I get to the second part, it's like an easy way for people to attack you. Oh, you making money now, right? And it's anyway, neither here nor there. The thing is what we're fighting for is, it should not take a miracle. Juxtapose this story with the story I said a couple weeks ago about Michael Bloomberg, and the unlikelihood and the odds and what are the chances that the one thing that would set me on the trajectory to fix and rectify all of our financial woes would be the exact thing that cuts to the core of who I really am, fighting on behalf of marginalized people. So I won't ever again apologize for whatever money we make at this juncture, because we got the scars.
Yeah.
We got the scars. See, the Apostle Paul said, and I ain't lying, I'm about to tell you. The Apostle Paul says, he says, and somebody said, like, all the cussing I do. Yeah, but I'm going to be me. But the
God
Apostle
made
Paul,
him.
he knew me.
Before.
He knew me. And I'm trying to get to what the Apostle Paul said. But the Apostle Paul said, I bear in me the scars of the Lord Jesus Christ. And he said, from henceforth, I will let no man trouble me. He said, basically, I ain't stunting y'all Negroes. After all we've been through, you kiss my black ass in Jesus' name. Then number one. But number two, I know, because what we are fighting for is to make sure that people ain't got to go through what we went through.
Absolutely.
I don't want folks to have to go through this. This ain't no beautiful story. This ain't no love story. This is trauma. This is hurt.
Real.
This is pain. I don't want nobody to have to go through this. You should not have to sacrifice your career to be able to pick up your kids from public school.
Yeah.
right? We should not have had to leave an entire city because we got pregnant. Mm-hmm. We should not lose our insurance because a job decides to shut down. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have to do that. Mm-hmm. And if we survived it, you should not have to take down a billionaire oligarch by the name of Michael Bloomberg. What are the odds? What are the odds that anybody's going to get a chance to do that in order for you to just be able to pay your bills and put you on a trajectory where you could actually make enough money to thrive? Most people are not going to be able to overcome what we overcame. And a lot of what we had to overcome was because our system is so damn raggedy.
Yeah.
So, that said, I'm not apologizing for nothing else. Y'all keep sharing these videos. Y'all keep watching these videos. Just let the videos play in the background. Let them ads roll on through. We're going to take all this money from all these advertisers. I don't care if Donald Trump advertises on my page. I will take his advertising dollars just so that you can log on to my video and I'm saying F Donald Trump and his white supremacist racist ass, right? I'm taking all their money. And what I'm going to do with that money is, with the help of my business partner here, we're going to leverage every dime as carefully and methodically and meticulously as we can to make sure that we continue building a team that's going to spread that message. Our core message is that it should not take a miracle from God or the universe for you to be able to survive. You want the last word?
Mine is not going to be as
well. That's
passionate.
Yeah. That's our role.
As my husband, but I will say, if nothing else, for me, you're not alone. You're not the only one.
Yes.
We've all, Ben and I'll say that, Ben and I have been through some major ups and some huge downs. But our intent, our heart, is genuine and true. And what he fights or talks about on a night, he genuinely feels it. Like if you all could be a fly on the wall, like, I'm glad he has his outlet, because it would be me that he would be talking to. But he is I'm just playing. He's little. So he is very passionate about what he talks about because he's been through it. Family members have been through it. Friends have been through it. And so to kind of come full circle, when we think about expanding and bringing on people, our main intent is to pay it forward,
right?
Whether it be by mentoring, whether it be by training, whether it be by providing opportunities that person may not ever come across or even have the opportunity to partake in, because we've been there. And if we could help I feel like one of those commercials. Anyways, if we could help
somebody,
if we could help, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever amount of people, that I feel like is our true purpose and our true hope and our true dream for everybody. And like he said over and over again, what you see now is not where we started. Not like,
and we're not even really. We still fresh.
We are grazing.
We are fresh out of it.
Like one toe, one pinky. If I can,
if we sneeze too hard,
one pinky toe over.
You shot me in my pinky toe.
That's what I was thinking. We're just one little half step over that line. Like,
so keep watching my videos, y'all. Keep sharing them. Keep sharing them videos. Every time it comes up, share that shit.
We are constantly having those conversations. One, don't get beside ourselves. Remember where you came from. Mm-hmm. Be, conscious of what you do and how you do it and who you involve. Let me say something. Hey, first love smokers, I'm going to take your money and I'm not going to read your super chat. Go ahead. Oh. YouTuber no. Anyways, and then the second thing is, understanding where we came from and realizing that this is a great opportunity, but then also share that with other people. Don't just hold it. Because I think, one, if we don't have the mentorship or we don't have those opportunities, then he and I need to create them. Right. So that way we can genuinely help people going forward. Like, share the wealth. I mean, many rich people do that. They share the wealth among their own communities.
They don't. Yeah, I'm about to say, because they don't share the wealth with
their
with
communities.
Yeah, their people, right?
But they
share
don't
the
share
knowledge.
with us.
They share the knowledge with each other.
Yeah.
See, listen. One thing I can promise y'all is I'm gonna be a class trader to the end. I don't care how much money I make. I don't care how much money she makes, because it's hers. They gonna hate me. I'm gonna be the first in line saying, tax me more, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be the first, because I know it's nothing that I can fix by myself. I'm never gonna be able to make enough money. None of us, no progressive, is going to be able to make enough money to fix all of our problems. But if we tax ourselves appropriately, we could put a dent in the problem. So anyway, I'm sorry, we good. Share the wealth, also share the excellence from Amy. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We are coming up on 2 hours, and we still have 800 people watching.
Wow, I appreciate it. I mean, and it's so funny. Like, it's weird to be in this position, to have this conversation with you all. Mm-hmm. Ben and I are humble individuals, sometimes to a default, but we're going to change that based off of this list that we wrote. Mm-hmm. So to have your attention, we don't take it for granted.
Nope.
Like, it just amazes me. Like, you're listening.
Yeah.
You're listening to us. But yeah, it's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to have expectations. If they don't like you, oh well, they are coming to you. You're not going to them. Create your space.
Darian's mom.
Oh,
Hey, St. John.
So, it's.
I'm glad she came. Do you know what a dude told me when we left? I never told you this. When we left South Florida to go to Jacksonville, Al Francis, Sister Moses, tell Al Francis I'm talking about him. Al Francis sat me down at lunch and he said, Ben, you're going to make it somewhere, but the journey is going to be hard as hell.
Yeah.
And he said, I want you to get ready for it. He said, it's going to be hard, but if you stick it out, you'll make it. I didn't realize he was talking about every single category of my damn life, like everything. My marriage, my money, my sanity, my health, my weight. I gained 60 pounds in Boston, right? I'm just now getting back to the size I was before I met you. Mm-hmm. Did you do that to me? No. But I didn't realize it was going to be in every single category of my life that had to be tested. And what I'm trying to say ultimately, y'all, is, and I'm sorry for keep cutting you off.
Hey, I mean,
because I feel this in my bones.
I'm just glad y'all recognize it.
We gotta make the path clear for everybody.
Yeah.
We cannot keep letting people having to struggle like this. And that's all I got to say. I mean, and I want you get the last word for real.
We'll see. But no, I firmly believe if you bless others, blessings will come back to you in many different shapes. I'm not even talking about, a monetary, number. I'm just saying there are opportunities that await you. There are relationships, friendships that await you if you just continue to not think about yourself, but to think about others and how your actions or your abilities or your opportunities will benefit and help other people. And so, if nothing else, I hope you enjoyed our transparency.
Cheryl.
Count it all joy. So let me end on this note. And people, so it's funny how my personality, and I'm gonna try to keep it short. It's funny how my personality has shifted from so many different ways. I'll say at least from undergrad up until now. I've always had that, very structured, upright, I have the pedigree to do all these different things. But I wasn't happy. And I wasn't filled with joy because I was still dealing with all these things that were happening prior to Ben. And through this journey, like someone said, count it all joy. So when people meet me now, I don't think they could ever imagine who I used to be, because I've let all of those things go. I've released all of those different things. And because I know of where I've come from, anything that's ahead of me is like, oh, I got this. Yep. I'm not even worried about, oh, something wrong. We can fix that. That's not that big of an issue. Or if I can be a help to anybody, I'm not doing it for the sake of notoriety. I'm not doing it so you'll like me. I'm not doing, like, I don't have time for that, because where we've come from,
after all that we've been through. Good night, everybody.
Bye.